Hello, brilliant humans of the interwebs! Welcome to eSpot Live. I am Ellie. This is my co-host Rodney. He is also my emotional support duck, and he is good. Happy Monday. It's so good to be here. Hopefully y'all are having as good of a day as I seem to be having. Alright, in the chat, this is kind of funny. I was gonna try to just slide this under the radar, but that's the first comment is that a new chair? Guys, I have a chair. Okay. This might not seem like a big deal to anyone who does not know that I have been filming every single episode of eSpot Live up until now from my floor. This is an amazing development. I'd like to thank the Academy. No, I'm kidding. But no, in all honesty, I am so stinking stoked about my chair. I have a chair and a desk. Oh, this is a big deal, guys. That's why today is such a good day. I thought I'd be all chipper and then just try to be coy about it. No. So yeah, thanks Panda for pointing that out. Chair. Anyways, I could talk for way too long about the fact that I have a chair. So I will try to move on. On to the disclaimers. So I always start these with kind of disclaimers about where I'm at and everything. If you were able to catch last Thursday's episode of eSpot Live, you would see that first of all, I'm back, and second of all, I've been having some issues with my computer and software and setup and all that jazz. And then I was able to stream on Thursday successfully with what I called the duct tape and glue patch. I'm still running on that sort of temporary patch. So the system's not necessarily optimal. It's not what I'm hoping it will be, but it seems to be working for now. So what I need from you guys is if you notice anything going wonky, yes, Chromezone, if you're here somewhere, wonky, in the video, it's gonna be one of two things. Either my internet, which, as you guys know, does whatever it wants, or it's going to be this issue that I've been battling with the software. And if I get that feedback from you guys, let me know if something's patchy or not coming through like I should, then I can troubleshoot on my end and hopefully fix it. But if I can't fix it, it still does give me the information I need to continue on with the process of making this a smoother stream in the future. So, yeah, those are my disclaimers. Internet being wonky, software being wonky. Let me know what it looks like for you guys, and I will do everything in my power to fix it in the moment. And if and when that is not the case, I will use this information to continue to hound the representatives and people and troubleshooters that I've been working with to get this fixed for you guys. So, that's really it for my disclaimers. I'm kind of nervous that I'm missing something because that felt really simple, but yeah, I'm super excited about my new chair. I'm excited to be here streaming with you guys even when things are not quite optimal, and I'm excited to make this better in the future. So, woo! Panda's saying so far so good, but we will let you know. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Yay. With all that said, let's get started. eSpot Live is a show where I talk about entertainment news, and I ramble. So welcome, and here we go. First, to talk about, I'm actually super happy, we get to kick off the show with a really wholesome story. Yay! That doesn't happen very often. So in this particular instance, I want to chat about Jonah Hill a little bit. Specifically, his very inspiring message board about body positivity. In case you're not familiar, I feel like there's been a whole saga surrounding Jonah Hill and particularly his weight. And, you know, frankly, it's kind of sad how much attention the topic's gotten. And I feel like he's gone back and forth within his career of engaging in the conversation and then also kind of shutting down the conversation. And now he's finally seemed to have gotten to a place where he was able to openly acknowledge the whole story and really share an inspiring and encouraging message for his fans. Just really about positivity in general and self-acceptance. So for those of you who don't necessarily know the backstory, Hill has struggled with his weight for years and has often been really open about the challenges that he's faced. He is now 37 years old. He's an Oscar nominee, and with a massive 40-pound weight drop that kind of shocked the public a bit. And then, you know, since then we've seen his weight fluctuate quite a bit, and it's, like I said, been a topic of conversation for a lot of people. So really starting at the beginning of his career, he really became known for small roles in which he was kind of portrayed as that quirky, chubby kid / best friend type thing. He was really typecast in that role, where he didn't really get to play characters with all that much depth, which is kind of sad for someone with his skill and talent. Even by around 2007, by which point in time he'd really become, you know, part of that cliche of comedians, and really established himself as a powerful comedian and talented actor. You know, his role as Seth in Superbad dealt on screen with the difficulties with self-acceptance as a teen, as an overweight teen, as all of these things. And then time passed and his popularity increased, and he began to kind of try to distance himself from that quirky guy past and really focus on serious content in film. And, you know, for some people, they saw this new, slimmer Jonah Hill giving off this fresh persona, striving for critical success, and saw that as like him completely distancing himself from his already established pithy one-liner, stoner, comedy-esque role that he had been typecast in. He really did kind of seem very confident. He challenged Glee star Matt Morrison to a fight in an interview. So there's a lot of kind of embracing this new, I guess, persona or whatever that he seemed to have. But then, you know, his career continued to grow, continued to broaden, and then the issues with weight kind of just kept going as a part of his life, as it does for people who kind of deal with weight issues. And what's interesting for me, and what kind of brought all this up, is in a recent statement that he posted on his Instagram account, Hill revealed that his days of feeling of shame over who he is and how he looks are over, which is just an important and difficult place to get to. So he shared this very stirring message of confidence. He addressed his own past insecurities, as well as encouraging others who might be feeling the same thing about themselves to stay strong. So he's quoted as saying, "I don't think I ever took my shirt off in a pool until I was in my mid-30s, even in front of family and friends. Probably would have happened sooner if my childhood insecurities weren't exacerbated by years of public mockery about my body by press and interviewers. So the idea that the media tries to play me by stalking me while surfing and printing photos like this, and it can't faze me anymore, is dope. I'm 37 and finally love and accept myself. This isn't a good for me post, and it's definitely not a feel bad for me post. This is for the kids who don't take their shirt off at the pool. Have fun. You're wonderful and awesome and perfect. All my love." So this is coming in direct response to photos that were leaked. Hill had been surfing in Malibu. His photo was taken by paparazzi. They were really going out of their way to kind of get photos of him in the water, photos of him in the wetsuit, photos of him changing out of the wetsuit, and really kind of, you know, get that awkward body shot or whatever. And that was his response to it. Is, you know what? They got what they wanted, but they're not getting a rise out of me anymore. And I just think that's so cool and so encouraging. And I also adore the fact that while it is a post very much about where he's at as a person, he made it clear that he's posting it to encourage other people to get there. And I also love with his story in particular that it's not about, you know, getting over it now. It's not about not dealing with issues. It's not about any of those things. It's about it's really about, like, sorry, I got distracted in the chat. There's more comments about the chair. But yeah, his story took him, you know, over 30 years to get where he's at, and he's really just kind of encouraging the kids who are facing the things that he did. And he's also very open about the fact that, you know, all of this attention from media, from paparazzi, from interviewers, it really did make it worse for him, which is something that we, in general, in the entertainment industry, need to acknowledge, is that the way we have things set up is not good for the mental health of people who are dealing with life, specifically when it comes to body image, when it comes to weight, when it comes to anything like that. So yeah, I greatly appreciated his statement. I hope you guys are encouraged by it as well. And it's just, something like that shouldn't be necessary to be said, but it really is. It's necessary to see successful people who people look up to make these statements that, you know, like, come at me, but I'm good with where I'm at now. I think that's just so cool. And, you know, it seems that he's done trying to kind of, like, absolutely crash and like drop weight or go back. Like, he's done with the yo-yoing of trying to meet expectations and is focusing on being active and healthy and all of those things that are super important. And I think in today's the day and age of just like the precedent that we have set as a society for body image, for expectations of what one should look like, that are for both genders so ridiculous that I don't have words for, so unrealistic that I don't have the full words to express. So it's really, really sad that someone like Jonah Hill had to deal with gaining this clout as a performer, as an actor, in order to be able to share that self-love and acceptance, in order to be taken seriously in that. Because this is not the first time he's addressed this being a problem in, you know, media and the way that they're kind of like coming after him for it. But yeah, really, really good to see that he is where he is. Really great to hear. Just great that this is, it's sad that it took this, if that makes sense, but it's awesome that it's happening, and I'm pretty happy with that. So here's to hoping that Hollywood continues to address this just culture of negativity surrounding body image that they've built up. Hopefully they continue to attempt to fix issues with diversity and diversity in all areas, with race, with sexuality, with gender, with bodies. You know, humans aren't meant to look like cookie cutter replicas, you know? So yeah, that's my feel good story. Hopefully I didn't kind of like make it too serious. So yeah, I absolutely love his message. I love that he chose to share it. I love where he's at. It's one of those times where it's like, I don't know him. I probably never will. But it makes my heart so happy to see that he's doing well in this aspect. So yay on that. Next up to chat about completely different topic, we're going to jump into a little more news on Sony. So Sony has confirmed that they plan to continue to launch new games on PS Plus. So it has been officially revealed that Sony is going to continue to give away newly released games on its PlayStation Plus service. So there was a new interview with GQ, found via GameSpot, talking about PlayStation's recently announced new VR headset. Sony Interactive Entertainment CEO Jim Ryan was asked whether the company will continue to release brand new games straight to PlayStation Plus. So both Bugsnax and Destruction All-Stars debuted as PS Plus games, with the latter even getting a lengthy delay in order to ensure that PS Plus launch. Ryan is quoted as saying, "We see this is a very interesting and innovative way to publish games and to make games available to our subscribers. It works for us as the publisher, and we know that subscribers to PlayStation Plus love it." Sony's not really a stranger to releasing brand new games on PS Plus as an incentive for players to sign up. So the aforementioned Bugsnax and Destruction All-Stars are just two recent examples. They've been doing it for a while. It was also announced during Sony's latest State of Play broadcast that PS5 users are going to be able to download Oddworld Inhabitants' upcoming game Oddworld Soulstorm for free as part of April's PS Plus lineup. So even last year, Fall Guys Ultimate Knockout made its PlayStation debut as a PS Plus game, launching for free with the service before reverting to that standard price tag. So this is likely one of the reasons that game exploded in popularity that particular month and became the service's most downloaded game of all time. However, the Fall Guys fever seems to have waned somewhat since launch, but it does seem like Sony's being a lot more generous with PS Plus nowadays, possibly as a way to kind of combat that popularity of Microsoft's Game Pass, their subscription service through that. So next month's lineup, if you look at it, is also really impressive. There are 4 titles offered up this time instead of the standard 3. We're going to have Final Fantasy VII Remake and Remnant from the Ashes. Those are going to be the biggest inclusions in that. But you can also grab the first-person puzzle game Maget for PS5 and Farpoint for PlayStation VR. So, super fun stuff. Catching up on the chat real quick. I missed something because I've got a comment about gingerbread men. Did I mispronounce something? I'm not sure what I missed there. That's okay. And then G-Bed's saying, whoa, Oddworld is still an active IP. Yes, and they're adding to it. There's a new game coming out, Oddworld Soulstorm. Yeah. So, anybody worried that the, waning of popularity of certain games is going to make them nix the PS Plus? Don't worry about it. It's still alive and well, and they're actually emphasizing it even more. And that is all I got on that particular topic. So next up, I've talked a bit about different Fortnite crossovers, I think, on different shows, and how much I just love crossovers in general, especially when you take 2 things that really feel like they shouldn't come together. So we're getting an interesting crossover with DC and Fortnite, and that's in and of itself is not necessarily super exciting. We've seen that happen before, except this time, the crossover isn't happening on Fortnite. This time, the crossover is happening in the DC Comics. Which, what? I'm not complaining, just what? Alright, so Fortnite and DC, they've crossed over in the past. They've given players a chance to live out fantasies of becoming key icons, like the Joker, they've had Catwoman, they've had Batman himself. But now the 2 universes are colliding in a completely different way, a brand new adventure, which is it's coming as a new comic series. The latest Fortnite and DC crossover is a brand new Batman comic series that will feature the Battle Royale title in an entirely different way. So yeah, the fact that it like I said, the crossover itself isn't the weird part here. It's the fact that it's happening in the comic series. That's a little unexpected. The new comic series is called Batman/Fortnite 0 Point and will offer 6 issues for a new storyline centering around yet another terror in reality. So this new rift is going to rip Gotham's sky in the new miniseries and drop Batman dead center into an unfamiliar world. Batman invaded the game of Fortnite, but now he's literally invading the entire Fortnite universe. He's going to be trying to escape an endless loop of nonsensical chaos while meeting other characters from the Fortnite-verse, like Renegade Raider, Fishstick, and more. So, series writer Christos Gage said, when DC first approached me about doing a Batman Fortnite series, I thought it would be a lot of fun. After speaking with Donald Mustard and discovering just how deeply we'd be diving into the secrets behind the world of Fortnite, I was amazed. The series will reveal things about Fortnite that have never been seen or heard before, but are very much part of the canon of the game. So this new comic series is going to include a redeemable code for DC-specific Fortnite gear. So those of y'all who are in it for the gear, there's stuff for you too. This is going to include the Rebirth Harley Quinn outfit. Love me some Harley Quinn. So for comic lovers who get all 6 issues, this is going to mean all 6 codes. They're also going to unlock a special armored Batman Zero outfit that you can wear when vying for that Victory Royale. Gage continues to say, I'm also looking forward to integrating other DC superheroes into the series, characters that Batman has existing relationships with. It'll be exciting to share with fans how these relationships will be reshaped in this new world. The art by Riley, Christian Nelson, and John is stunning, and my prediction is that this series will blow everybody's mind, whether you're a fan of DC, Batman, or Fortnite. So this new series, or mini-series, with Batman and Fortnite crossover, is rushing ahead with a planned release right now of April 20th, 2021. Yeah, so, J-Man in the chat, Fortnite has canon? I'm not going to pretend that I knew that before looking at this topic for the day, because I did not know that before looking at this topic for this day. Apparently, yes, there's a full-on Fortnite universe with full-on Fortnite canon that fans are going to get access to for the first time via Batman. If you can't tell that I am absolutely in love with everything that I'm talking about right now, I don't know how else to express it, because what is even happening? It's just awesome. And I'm not even someone who keeps up with comics on a regular basis. Since starting this, I'm kind of expanding my horizons a bit, learning new things. There's a lot of things that I want to get to know better. Comics are one of them, video games obviously. But yeah, this is new. It's blowing my mind a little bit. I love it. Panamental saying, I honestly never knew it. Then again, I keep Fortnite off my gaming radar. It's true. Fortnite comes with its own drama, which we'll get to later. But for now, I have news regarding some conventions. So fan favorite anime convention Momocon has canceled officially its summer event and is planning for winter. Bit of a bummer. Makes a lot of sense with where we're at right now. So Momocon, for those of you who don't know, is a fan favorite Atlanta gaming, pop culture, and animation convention. It has officially canceled their in-person event, which was scheduled for May 27th to May 30th. This is obviously a result of the ongoing global COVID-19 pandemic. Instead, the organizers are going to be celebrating Winterfest at the Georgia World Congress Center in Atlanta from December 19th to December 20th, when the plan is, and hopefully we'll see a much greater number of Americans having been vaccinated. So this decision to cancel the spring event was considered in the best interest of the Momocon and Atlanta communities. Organizers are going to be working with guests and agents who were booked for Momocon 2020 and 2021 in order to plan a new event in 2022 that is going to exceed fans' expectations. Don't know what they have planned, but I know it's big. Attendees who have already purchased the Momocon 2020 or 2021 tickets can either be compensated with tickets to Momocon 2022, which is already planned for May 26th to May 29th in 2022, or they may receive a refund before April 1st. You do that by contacting Momocon via momocon.com. So, little history on Momocon. It was inaugurated in Atlanta, Georgia in 2005, so it's been around for a minute. Up until 2011, the event, which really focuses on anime, video games, LARP, webcomics, comics, costuming, card games, board games, science fiction, and prop armor construction. That was more of a mouthful than I anticipated. Anyways, they focus on a lot of things. Up until 2011, the event was held on the campus of the Georgia Institute of Technology. And then in 2011, the event was moved to Technology Square, and in 2012 was held in the Atlanta Marriott Marquis. The origin of the name comes from Japanese. Momo means peaches, which is a nod to Georgia, the peach state. So that's really cute. The last event, Momocon 2019, was held at the Georgia World Congress Center and Omni Hotel Atlanta, and welcomed an estimated 39,000 guests. So it's a decent-sized convention. Momocon also hosts local events that promote awareness of Japanese culture, and the convention itself, for sure. Anime Otaku often screens films and holds gatherings at Georgia Tech's campus in Atlanta. From 2008 to 2010 and from 2012 to 2014, Momocon hosted a summer semi-formal ball with all proceeds benefiting the Susan G. Komen Foundation for Breast Cancer Awareness. In 2015 and 2017, the event hosted the Twilight Masquerade and the Crystal Ball, a formal masquerade celebration held in the Oceans Ballroom at the Georgia Aquarium. So this is a very involved community. It's a rather large convention that's very broad and welcoming to many different kinds of people. They're focused on raising awareness. They're focused on raising funds for really good causes. So while it's a bummer that it is being canceled, I find it interesting too, like we're seeing different people having different responses to having to cancel events. So a lot of times we're seeing places jump online and trying to do a digital event, but because Momocon has this history of in-person and it's got a little bit of a different focus. It's not really necessarily displaying new digital things so much as building that community, and so rather than focusing on just throwing everything online for the same dates. They are making that cancellation and focusing everything on making the best possible in-person events that they can, which I think is pretty cool. It's a different way of doing things. And Silly Fun saying, just to clarify, there is no connection to Ducky Momo from Phineas and Ferb, because I would love a convention for Ducky Momo. There is no connection, though. Like I said, this is dealing with all things comic and animated and LARPing and board games and card games and costume. I'm sure Ducky Momo's a part of it in some way, shape, or form, but the name is not connected. But yeah, looking forward to see what they come up with for 2022. And yeah, if this is something that you had invested in financially and are bummed about, I do apologize. But again, you can either push those tickets to 2022 or you can get a refund by April 1st. And yes, Silly, you can go as Ducky Momo. I would love if that happened. On so many levels. And now I think this is a perfect transition, because there's just always a good transition here. For the regularly... Wow, that wasn't English. The regularly scheduled water break. Yay! It is time to hydrate or dihydrate. This is the portion of the show where I lecture you guys on the importance of drinking water, and you guys argue and try to say other beverages are just as good, and I say that they are just as good and they're awesome, but water... You just need to drink straight water sometimes. Your body just needs that. And now is the perfect opportunity to drink water. That being said, I will be right back. And now I'm back. See, that wasn't too long or painful, was it? Catching up in the chat real quick. We've got a discussion on whether or not lemon water is an acceptable replacement for water. I think that depends. Is this lemon water as in, like, lemonade, or is this lemon water as in water with some lemon in it? Because water with some lemon in it is water, and it's good for you, and it's awesome. You're allowed to flavor your water, as long as it's, like, water. Because, like, tea adds to water. It makes it not water anymore. It's still good, delicious. I'm not saying anything against tea. I love tea. I love tea. But it's not water. But you can, like, put, like, cucumbers or lemon or something like that in water, and it's still water. So, yes. Yes, Silly Fun. That does count. I approve. Hydrate it up. Also, I just have to re-acknowledge my chair again. Because guess what I did over the water break? I drank water, and I relaxed in my chair, because I have a chair. Also, I can't show you guys because it's literally bolted in, but my fancy desk comes with a water bottle holder. Okay, that's my nerding out about my my chair. Silly Fun's like, what chair? I got a chair! There's a chair behind me! Again, I feel like so many people are gonna see this and be like, and? Most people sit in chairs, and this is a very true and accurate statement. I, however, have been sitting on the floor for a very long time, and so you cannot make me not excited about my chair. Not that anybody's trying to. Anyways. Woohoo! Silly does not believe me. Chair. Alright. Moving right along before I just dive headfirst into a rabbit hole that is chair related, apparently. And or ergonomics. Oh, Silly just says the chair is a lie. Okay, fair enough. It might be. It's an illusion. But it's a very comfortable one, so I'm not complaining. Anyways, alright, so coming back in to the newsy topics of the day that I'm going to babble about a little bit more. This one's a little less of a feel-good one. Stadia has reported, developmental Wow, I don't know what happened with my words. Enunciation is key. We got this. Stadia has reported development troubles. Why? I don't know why my brain thought that was so much more complicated than it was. There have been multiple reports now coming out detailing Google Stadia's troubles that include everything, really, from internal struggles on the development team to, quote, tens of millions of dollars spent on AAA games like Red Dead Redemption 2 to development roadblocks created by Google itself. So they're in an interesting place. Bloomberg has reported that despite all of the hype built up by Google for Stadia's reveal, gamers around the world were disappointed with the release. This led to a really lackluster launch, and Stadia is said to have missed its targets for sales of controllers and monthly active users by hundreds of thousands, and that was a quote as well. Not even games from some of the best publishers like Ubisoft and Take-Two Interactive Software could help turn the tide for Stadia. And those games did not come cheap either. Sources from Bloomberg are saying it cost tens of millions of dollars to bring games like Red Dead Redemption 2 to the platform. So they really did put a lot into that, but it's looking like they might have put the money into the wrong things. Wired has shared some info on the struggles at Stadia that ultimately have led to the closure of Google Stadia's internal studios. So many of these issues stemmed from Google creating roadblocks for these employees who were trying to staff up to build AAA level games. Google's kind of known for its very long, very involved hiring process, and it can take anywhere from 6 to 9 months just to bring someone on board in Google. On top of that, they had to change their hiring standards as they were looking to bring in game developers because they haven't traditionally hired for those positions before. So while there were around 150 employees impacted by the closure of Stadia's internal studios, two sources have said that the goal was originally to bring in over 2,000 more employees over 5 years. So above and beyond hiring concerns, sources were discussing that Stadia's game development process felt stapled on. Many of the developers felt that, quote, Google wasn't funding games to sell games, it was funding games to sell Stadia, end quote. So instead of giving the devs the freedom to really create what they were wanting to, they were told to, quote, design prototypes that showcase Stadia technology like Google's cloud computing capacity or state share, end quote. These issues were undoubtedly frustrating, but many felt that even though that was the case, they were secure in their positions at Google because, I mean, Google offers high paychecks. They offer, a lot of security in their positions, and it felt like there was little fear of being laid off, which really can be a problem at other studios. And then COVID-19. Following the start of the pandemic, Google implemented a hiring freeze for all departments except, quote, a small number of strategic areas where users and businesses rely on Google for ongoing support and where our growth is critical to their success, end quote. Gaming, it appears, was not one of those areas. So one source is quoted as saying, if the company was okay putting us on a hiring freeze, they were also okay with damaging our ability to build content. The studio wasn't even fully formed and ready to produce games. Then they put the brakes on it. And that was a statement. We interpreted it as a lack of commitment from Google to make content. And that's the end of the quote from the anonymous source. In late January, Google's vice president of Stadia and GM, Phil Harrison, emailed employees and praised the platform's technology and said that, quote, Stadia Games and Entertainment had made great progress building a diverse and talented team and establishing a strong line of Stadia exclusive games, end quote. 5 days later, Harrison gathered the employees and let them know that the internal studios are shutting down. VGC has reported on a few of Stadia's possible canceled projects and proposals. This particular report is all alleged, not confirmed, and actually a spokesperson did come out kind of speaking against it. But supposedly, rumor has it that one of the canceled projects was an episodic horror game from Kojima Productions. And that particular proposal was rumored to have been blocked by Stadia GM Phil Harrison last year. Another was said to be from Shenmue Suzuki. And it would have been a sequel to Journey to the Savage Planet. Oh no, that was separate, sorry. One was from Shenmue Suzuki, and then a sequel to Journey to the Savage Planet was also said to be in the works by the team formerly known as Typhoon. A multiplayer action game codenamed Frontier was rumored to being developed and being led by former Splinter Cell and Assassin's Creed Syndicate producer Francois Pond. Again, all of those specific games and productions and collaborations, those are all rumors. A Google Stadia spokesperson responded to that story saying that it does not have, quote, have anything nor have announced anything with Kojima or Yu Suzuki. We talk to partners all the time in situations that do not result in a project or even a proposal. This is very common. Speculating that two parties that speak regularly in this industry lead to proposals or otherwise is inaccurate. So, a lot of he said, she said in that area, at least. It is worth noting that even though Stadia's internal studios have been closed, Google has reassured those that own Stadia that the platform is going to be getting more than 100 games in 2021. So this is not the end of Stadia. This is a response to the pandemic and or possibly the lackluster reveal of Stadia. We will have to be keeping an eye on it to see how the system goes, what the future holds for it. Obviously, as news comes out, I will be sharing it with you because drama. Yeah. That's all I got on that particular topic. I got momentarily distracted by the chat because we're having a conversation about the chair being a lie because it might be cake. No, I'm not gonna bite my chair. It won't taste very good. Leather cake is not a thing. Anyways. Alrighty. This next topic is a little bit more exciting. Yay. In the chat again, G-Man saying, why would Ellie sit on cake? I just want to say, I concur with that statement, because if I had access to a cake this large, I would be eating it. I would be eating the cake. I love cake. Okay, anyways. Focusing on actual news topics. That's on me, by the way. Keep going in the chat, because this is hilarious. Pokemon 25, the album, is coming this fall. So that's super fun stuff. Fall of 2021. It's been revealed following the Pokemon virtual concert that happened Saturday night. We're getting an album. Pokemon 25, the album. It's going to be comprised of a total of 14 songs by 11 Universal Music Group artists. These include Katy Perry, J Balvin, and Post Malone, amongst others. Post Malone's version of Hootie and the Blowfish's Only Wanna Be With You is on the Pokemon 25 album tracklist. Katy Perry, J Balvin, and another surprise artist will each release a song inspired by the Pokemon franchise, along with a music video and merchandise collection. J Balvin commented on taking part in the project in a statement released on Saturday. He's quoted as saying, Pokemon is pulling out all the stops for the P25 music, and I am thrilled to join the program as one of its premier collaborators. Stumbling on Ellie. The quote continues to say, I'm looking forward to adding my own unique flavor to this huge Pokemon party and adding more good vibes to the celebration. So yeah, that's the end of the quote. Pokemon 25, the album, is part of this year's P25 music program for Pokemon's 25th anniversary, and it's being released by UMG's Capitol Records, again, in fall of 2021. So coming up soon. That's super exciting. I mentioned this before. Katy Perry had some really cool quotes to say, talking about the collaboration. But yeah, we're just getting an expanded look on it. We've got an official name for it now. We know when to look out for it. I love how many, like, anniversary parties in different fields are happening this year. It just makes my heart happy. I'm sorry, the chat right now. We've got G-Man saying the cake is a lie is a really popular Portal reference. I actually did know that. I don't know why, but I've heard that before, and I knew it was a Portal reference. And somehow that turned into silly fun talking about people popping out of a cake. This is getting morbid. All right, I'm gonna move on to the next topic. But again, keep going, because this is hilarious. Next up, talking about conventions and cancellations, unfortunately. This time I want to cover E3. So E3 2021's live events have officially been canceled. This is according to Los Angeles City documents. The official physical event has been officially canceled. This was spotted by VGC. A new report published by the Board of Los Angeles Convention and Tourism Development Commission states that E3 2021 live event is canceled and that the city is, quote, working with the production team on broadcast options at LA Live/LACC, end quote. Furthermore, they're working with the ESA on licenses for both 2022 and 2023. This follows ESA's confirmation that E3 2021 would still be happening, and that the ESA would be transforming the E3 experience for 2021. So a spokesperson from the ESA previously said, "We can confirm that we are transforming the E3 experience for 2021 and will soon share exact details on how we're bringing the global video game community together. We are having a great conversations with publishers, developers, and companies across the board, and we look forward to sharing details about their involvement soon." Many people assumed that this meant that E3 would be going digital amidst the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic, but the ESA never explicitly said that the live event was canceled until now. A report from VGC also detailed some E3 2021 pitch documents that revealed this revamped show would include, quote, multiple 2-hour keynote sessions from game partners, an awards show, a June 14 preview night, and other smaller streams from game publishers, influencers, and media platforms. So that's some stuff to kind of look forward to with that. Again, for people who have been looking at E3, wondering what's going to happen with that, this is official confirmation that there will be no in-person live event. With everything kind of that has been going on in Los Angeles, I don't think anybody's super surprised by this particular turn of events, but this is also confirmation that it has not been canceled. So again, I mentioned with the Momocon that it's interesting to see how different events that focus on different things are kind of like approaching these cancellations, and E3 is one of those that it looks to be going online. We're still going to have an event. We don't know exactly what it's going to look like yet. Just won't be in person. And Momo, again, is just pushing everything into making a boss 2022 in-person event. That's all I got on that. G-Man saying I missed the most important message in that set is that I should be playing Portal. Yeah. Alright. We'll see that. Silly saying, I feel like gamers should be able to adapt to being online. Right? E3 is very much specifically focused on gaming. It makes sense to build that community and to bring them together and do so online. Again, Momo's more focused on building that physical community and letting people let their LARPing flags fly. So it makes sense that they're focusing on the in-person portion of that. So yes, apparently, according to the chat, I need to play Portal. We'll get there. We'll get there. First things first, I gotta make sure that I can stream on my setup. But it seems to be working. I haven't gotten any complaints in the chat yet. And then we'll then we'll take votes, I guess, for games. But before I, again, dig myself into a hole there with things, promises that I cannot hold to, I'll switch topics. Silly saying, I honestly find in-person gaming events more weird. That's fair. I have actually never been to a convention in person. I would love to. I've wanted to for years, but have not had the means. So I don't really have any comparison to personally speak on. But I think it'd be fun to be in person. I'm, obviously, I think, from conversations, I'm a nerd when it comes to, a little obsessed with, like, voice actors and things like that. So even gaming panels where you get to have, like, live panels of, like, the actors and creators and developers, I would want to be in that room. So I think I like I understand the appeal, rather, of that in-person version thing, but also I understand that this community is probably the best community to possibly be able to adapt to moving online. So, yeah, there we go. And conversations going on. Have I never been to a PAX or an E3? I've never been to any convention. Yet. It will happen. Both virtually and in person. But, no, I've not yet. Alright, focusing back on, the last topic of the day. I have a slight update on Apple versus Valve, ? So, I know Hannah talked about this on, last week when she very, very kindly and amazingly covered for me while I was having technical difficulties. Apple seems to be really expanding their battle and drawing more and more people into it. Yay. And, the most recently, it's involved Valve. So, Apple demanded certain information from Valve. Valve gave them some information, but redacted a lot of it. Apple complained. Valve said, like, no. Back and forth a bit. Now it's in court. Yay! Yeah, so, as of now, according to the California judge overseeing Apple's attempts to drag Valve into an ongoing beef with Epic Games, Apple has, quote, salted the earth with subpoenas, so don't worry, it's not just you, end quote. That did not stop Thomas Hickson from going on to issue a discovery order. This was spotted by iMore, by the way, and this order does require Valve to produce certain Steam information demanded by Apple, which is something that Valve has been really trying hard to resist. So yeah, the judge essentially said, well, seems to be happening to everybody recently, but, you know, I'm not going to stop it. So the short version of what's going on is Apple subpoenaed Valve because it says certain Steam information will be crucial to building its case against Epic, which is all about competitive practices. Yeah, Valve then says the case between Apple and Epic is all about mobile problems there, and that Apple is using this as a fishing expedition to obtain a bunch of third-party data, and has already shared limited information, which it believes should be enough for Apple's case. So, yeah, Apple comes in, demands this information, Valve says, hey, your problem's not with me, we've already given you a little bit, like, anything more is fishing. Unfortunately, it looks like the judge has agreed with Apple on this particular one. Well, first, Apple's lawyers disagreed, and that's the most important thing to note here, is that it's all about who you can get to represent you, isn't it? So yeah, in this latest hearing, Apple's lawyers countered Valve's arguments, and in the course of doing so made it explicit exactly why it is seeking to drag the company into the case against Epic. So Apple's subpoena, according to Judge Hickson's discovery order, quote, seeks information relevant to the effects of competition. So recall that in these related cases, plaintiffs allege that Apple's 30% commission on sales through its App Store is anti-competitive, and that allowing iOS apps to be sold through other stores would force Apple to reduce its commission to a more competitive level. Well, Steam is one of the largest video game stores for PCs, and it too charges a 30% commission. Alright, in case you're not following entirely, trying to Englishify this, which is not very easy to do. the main Epic versus Apple battle, right? Epic put in something in their store that allowed users and purchasers to subvert Apple's 30% fee for buying things for Apple products. Apple said, you can't do that, we're losing money. Epic said, we can do that because you're creating a monopoly. Apple's trying to prove that they're not creating a monopoly by proving that other platforms also charge the same price, which means that they're not subverting anything. And so in order to do that, they're getting Valve in on this and using their documentation to prove essentially that this is a already standard set practice, which goes back to kind of what I've talked about in the past about precedent and how important that is in legal battles. Apple's hoping that if they can prove that Valve had already set the precedent for 30% fee, that Apple then holds the right to the 30% fee, and that by subverting it, Epic undermined them as a company. It goes on. Hopefully that was somewhat English. So yeah, if you kind of are tracking along with me, Apple's going to try and show that the emergence of the Epic Games Store did not affect the commission that Valve charges on Steam. And the whole purpose behind this is the central pillar of Epic's argument in this massive court case is, quote, monopolistic practices. Again, they're claiming that Apple is trying to create a monopoly in this field. And that Apple, in removing Fortnite, is looking to stifle that competition. Epic is also the one that compared mobile iOS to the more open environment on Macs. But if the Epic Games Store did not make Valve lower its commission, that argument starts to look real shaky, right? So Epic Games opened its video game store for PCs in December 2018, and Epic charges a commission that is lower than 30%. By focusing Request 32 on 436 specific games that are sold in both Steam's and Epic's store, Apple seeks to take discovery into whether the availability of other stores does in fact affect commissions in the way that plaintiffs allege. So essentially, they're going to compare all of these games that are sold both by Steam and by Epic, and use that to kind of prove their own place in it. Valve's argument that Apple was using it as a shortcut to all that lovely third-party data was dismissed. The court disagrees. Requiring Apple to subpoena each individual game developer to obtain its pricing and sales information would be an undue burden. Again, in English, if Valve does not give this information, that means that Apple has to go individually, one-on-one, to each single game developer, each single studio, and get this information. This of Valve, so they're not producing an undue burden. I don't know how else to English that. It goes on to add that protective orders in this case should ensure adequate confidentiality, which was another part of Valve's argument. Finally, Valve's case that it's a private company and this information is a competitive edge also got short shrift. The court disagrees with that as well. Valve's decision to stay private means that it avoids the public company disclosure and reporting requirements, but it does not immunize the company from discovery. Essentially, yes, you're a private company. Random people cannot get this information. It does not negate you from being involved in the court of law. Somewhat makes sense. So, thus, the documents produced so far, which have been redacted, are required to be produced yet again without those redactions. So, Valve has already turned over certain information. They covered up a bunch of the information. They now have to give that full pile back without the coverings. Apple's lawyers argued that this documentation is required by March 8th. That's not really a long turnaround. In order for it to produce arguments based on them for a hearing that's coming up on March 15th. The court has ordered Valve to produce the information from Request 2 by March 8th, which, again, this is not a small deal. Though the court, in demanding the production by this short turnaround time, has narrowed the focus of Apple's original demand. So the court has narrowed Request 2 and orders Valve to produce the per-app information only for the 436 apps available on both Steam and the Epic Games Store, as providing that information broken down for all 30,000 plus apps is an unnecessary burden on Valve. So again, this kind of turns it around. Apple wanted all of the information. The court said, yes, we'll give you the information. We'll give it in your turnaround that you want, but we're going to narrow it down to only the games that are very specifically necessary for this argument. So we're not, again, putting this undue burden on Valve to produce all of the data they've ever had. And so they're ordering that that's produced within 30 days. Then there's the other bone of contention, which is request 32. This specific request wanted A, the name of each app on Steam, B, the date range when the app was available on Steam, and C, the price of the app and any in-app product available on Steam. The court granted this, but only from 2017, so Apple had originally demanded it from 2015. The judge pointed out that the Epic Store didn't launch until 2018, so they only get 1 year of leeway on that. Valve is ordered to produce this information within 30 days. So, it's not going to surprise you to know that this is just the latest twist, and it's far from over. This battle between Apple and Epic has turned into a battle between Apple and Valve. And this is just like one tiny part of the overall thing that's continuing on with Epic. This particular case was first filed in 2020 in August. And since then, there's been a huge amount of back and forth, number of hearings, documentations. This discovery order itself that I'm talking about now was the 356th document produced by the case thus far. This sounds like a meaningless number. What this means is it's a massive amount of paperwork. These legal teams are not pulling any punches, and it's kind of crazy the amount. Can I just say, we don't put this much time, effort, or anything into civil cases or criminal cases at all. Like, that's people don't get this treatment. Corporations do. People don't. Anyways, that's an Ellie opinion there that we won't dive into. But yeah, this has been going back and forth. There's been 356 back and forth since this was filed in August. It's going to continue to go back and forth. Valve will most likely continue to fight this order and appeal. So that's another thing too. Apple demanded this of Valve. Valve said no. They went back and forth 300 plus times. Valve's finally like, okay, here's a limited amount of information, but we've redacted most of it. Apple says that's not good enough. They go to court. The judge then orders this discovery, which is a court-ordered, you need to produce this information. It doesn't end there, though, because Valve does retain the right to appeal, which probably will just push back the date, if we're being honest, but there we go. Apple had this to say on its case against Epic in Europe. Another thing worth pointing out. We're not just talking about one case. They're doing this in multiple countries. They're like, the scope of this battle is insane. And yeah, I don't even know where I can go with this without like way over talking. But yeah, this is, I would like to communicate with you the vastness of this Epic versus Apple, and now Apple versus Valve, and Apple versus, apparently they're sprinkling subpoenas like salt. So Apple versus everybody. It's turning it into an interesting thing. And the precedent set from this case, once it does actually come to fruition, is going to impact the entire entertainment industry like crazy. So again, just trying to emphasize the scope of this. Back to the case. Apple's quoted as saying, specifically in the European case against Epic, quote, "For 12 years, the App Store has helped developers turn their brightest ideas into apps that change the world. Our priorities have always been to provide customers with a safe and trusted place to download software and to apply the rules equally to all developers. Epic has been one of the most successful developers on the App Store, growing into a multi-billion-dollar business that reaches millions of iOS customers around the world, including in the EU. In ways a judge has described as deceptive and clandestine, Epic enabled a feature in its app which was not reviewed or approved by Apple, and they did so with the express intent of violating the App Store guidelines that apply equally to every developer and protect customers. Their reckless behavior made pawns of customers, and we look forward to making this clear to the European Commission." That's the end of the official statement. Valve has now until March 4th to comply with both Apple's and the judge's commands. It's going to be so interesting to see what happens on their end. Again, if they kind of try to shoot back with an appeal on that date instead of the information, which would push back the March 15th deadline. Yeah, hopefully I've done a decent job of kind of trying to make this make a little bit of sense. This is a very, very complicated, in-depth proceeding. But again, the things that I want to emphasize here are the scope of this, and the repercussions of this, because it's really going to impact the people a lot more than I think you think. At the end of the day, these are multiple multi-billion-dollar corporations putting all of their resources into this massive legal battle. And what this is going to impact is the consumer. Regardless of who wins, regardless of who's right, regardless of who made the correct decision, you know, frankly speaking, and I don't know if this is what the judge is going to say or not, who knows, it depends on, again, lawyers, whether or not Epic's claim that Apple is attempting to create a monopoly is accurate. They still don't necessarily have the right to do what they did, and that's also in question. So there's a lot going on here. Anyways, I'm just gonna catch up on the chat real quick. Silly says, I guess an apple a day does not keep a lawyer away. Yeah, true that. Interesting point that Silly's making in the chat is you can get PC games without Steam, but you cannot get iOS apps without the App Store. That's a good point. And then G-Man saying, this makes me wonder just how much data Valve collects, right? The fact that Valve's like, no, you can't take this data because it would violate, like, people's rights of data privacy, and it does make you wonder exactly how much they're holding on to. We know they collect a lot. Silly goes, I mean, they're no Google. I just kind of run around with the assumption that everything ever is collected by everyone ever. And I don't know if that's a wise way to live life. Maybe I should care more than I do. I do care to some extent, but also I feel like I am the quintessential millennial in that aspect, where it's just like, I grew up covering my cameras when they weren't in use because, like, of course they can be turned on remotely and anybody can get any information they want. Pshaw. So yeah. And G-Man saying, I think they collect more than they let on. I think that's actually one of the reasons they're fighting this discovery so hard. Because if they give over all of the information and then it comes out that it's more information than anybody anticipated, it's not going to look good for Valve. So, interesting thing there. It's a whole thing. Thank you guys for engaging with me in this particular topic. I'm fascinated by it. I love this legal stuff. Hopefully it's not too boring for you guys. Hopefully I'm able to explain it in a decentish way. But yeah, that's all I've really got for today. So Nightbot's in there, and it's all just words, all word eventually. It'll be fine. Make sure you check out our Devious streamers. They're all listed at the bottom of our page. Just go ahead and show them your support. Be sure to follow Devious Eye Entertainment. We're on Facebook, we're on Twitter, we're on Instagram. Also worth noting, we're working on trying to revamp our social media platforms right now. So we're working to improve them. We're working on posting more often. Let us know what you guys want to see. If you want to hear from particular people, if you want to see behind the scenes of specific things, maybe we can work that in there. Like, just let us know what you guys want. We're really, I've said this before, I'll say it a bajillion times, we're building a community here, and we genuinely care about what you want from us and what you have to say to us. We thrive on feedback. And that's why I'm here. That's why eSpot Live exists, is to have this kind of platform to be able to go back and forth so I can chat with you in the chat. We want to chat with you on social media too. So make sure you follow us. I just want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for tuning in, for your continued support, for hanging out with me and being excited with me over my chair, even though some of us are denying its existence. Yeah, I think that's all I got. Thank you from me and the entire DVSI team. We adore you and we're grateful for you. And And that's all I got. So, thank you for watching. I will be back on Thursday, 6 p.m. Eastern Time. That is 3 p.m. if you live on the other coast. If you live somewhere in between, it's somewhere in between. One of these days, I'll look up those time zones and get a better answer for you. Anyways, now that I've made this awkward, be safe, be happy, be loving. We need more of that in this day and age. Be healthy, be hydrated, and stay devious.